All right, y'all. I want to hear first time you ever had a prayer answered. What you got?
Do you remember, TJ?
Nope, you go.
Okay.
TJ
Listen.
says, I'm still waiting for that.
Hopefully
It'll
soon.
come. It'll come, TJ.
I remember so clearly because we went to Mexico on a cruise, and you know how they you go to all those shops and you can buy stuff there. My mom gave us this certain amount of money and everyone was buying so many things, but I just so bad wanted one thing, but it was expensive. And so my mom was like, if you get this, you can only get one thing. And I was like, no, it's okay. I will choose that. And it was this little purse and shoes that they engraved with my name. It was like Dora. It was like a Dora purse and Dora shoes, and they said grace on them, and I was obsessed with them. And I lost them right when I got home. The day I got home, I lost them. And I prayed all day that I would find. It was my left Dora shoe. And I prayed all day that I would find it, and then I still remember where I found it. And that's the first time I remember prayer being answered.
That's a big moment right there.
For my Dora shoes.
Do you still have them?
Like he told you?
No, I wish I still had them. I don't know why I don't. My dad probably threw them away. He's kind of a throwaway guy.
Wait, so how did it work? Did you feel where they were, or did you have a whisper?
No, I
thought you have a whisper?
I thought I should check in the front closet. And then I checked and it was just right there. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Thoughts.
And then I hurried and said a prayer. Welcome, everyone, to This is Kingdom. I'm Grace.
I'm Talon.
I'm TJ.
This week, we are going to be studying the conference talk, Jesus Christ is Relief, by President Camille N. Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to think about, when did we meet? 2 years ago? Is that true?
Almost 2 years ago. 2 years ago in July. Well,
Okay.
me and TJ met over 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah, but us three.
You came to the party late. But
But
it's all
us
good.
three.
Yeah.
So some of you probably already know how we met. But whatever happened is right before we met, my life sort of fell apart. So that's lucky.
Did you say right before or right after?
Right before.
Okay.
Right
That's
before.
better.
Right
That's
before.
better.
Right
Okay,
before. And I just kind of had a really messy situation happen with friends, and it was kind of sad, and it was really tragic to me. And I went to Mexico, and I went to Mexico, and it was to work in this orphanage to teach English and mostly to teach sports class, which I was really unqualified for, but I went anyways, which is a story for another time. But I went, and the reason I went is because I just felt like I really needed a restart. I was I just can't do this anymore. And I was kind of just running from a lot of anxiety and a lot of heartbreak from situations that happened with my friends. I just really needed a big break. I was I can't do this anymore. I want to get out of it. And I went to Mexico on in this 12 passenger van, and they're we can get you to Mexico, but we can't get you home from Mexico. And I was not a problem. That's fine. That's chill. And I just didn't really care about it. And then a week before I had to come home, I really started caring about it because I didn't have a ride. And so I finally was I need a ride. And literally, I am not kidding you, by the grace of God, they can attest. Talon and TJ came and picked me up from Mexico, which was really weird because we didn't know each other at all. I had never met them. I had never heard of them. It was two complete strangers came to pick me up from Mexico. And then we drove home. There is no better way to meet someone than a road trip. True?
Oh, it's the best bonding, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt about
kind
it.
of stuck.
Yeah, we became best friends. We had to because we were on a road trip. So we drive home all together, and for them it was probably just another instance of meeting someone. It was just I don't know. I actually haven't really ever talked to you guys about this.
Yeah, not true. It was so special for all of us, and you know that. Come on now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't want to put words in your mouth. And I got home, and the entire drive home, I do not remember 2 minutes straight that were awkward or were uncomfortable or we didn't have anything to say. It was just it just worked. We drove home, and it was just we were best friends instantly. And I got home, and I was back into that same life that I was kind of running away from. And I remember thinking I think that I can do this now because of them. I remember praying when I got home, and I was God, please keep them in my life actually for real. Because I think that I could do this if I knew that I had other people in it with me, And
why are you getting so tender on us today, Grace?
Surprise.
You got tissues in here? Where are the tissues at?
And it made me think I thought about the people that I was friends with and the people that I wanted to be friends with and all of this stuff. But the thing that I thought the most about you two is that I was they actually are living their baptismal covenant. They know what it looks like to actually be oh, this person needs help. Let me help them. Oh, this person needs a little more Jesus. Let me bring him to them. And I just remember thinking so clearly, oh, I don't think that I could have come back to life after Mexico and like done it well and happy and like been fulfilled if I hadn't had met you guys. Like I just like really don't think that it would have worked. And I think we have a lot of expectations on what relief feels like and looks like. And like in that moment, I did. My relief, like I like had this vision when I went to Mexico that I was like going to find myself in Mexico and it was going to be so good and I was like going to be this whole new person and like come home and like that's the relief that I thought I was going to feel. And instead, like God actually just gave me two best friends. And I think that sometimes we forget that relief is actually, it's not always directly from Jesus Christ, but sometimes maybe it's from each other. And that's what it looks like to live your covenants.
Well, this is one of my favorite parts about this talk from Camille. It says, often he performs, it's talking about Jesus, often Jesus performs that kind of relief through us. And I think sometimes we might feel like God's being silent or like Jesus isn't doing anything. But he's like, no, actually, I'm like sending people in your life left and right. And I feel like sometimes when I just sit down and like think about who he's placed in my life, I realize like, oh, actually, he's been like very actively involved, like with everything happening, even though I didn't like see him directly, you know?
Yeah, I remember preparing for our trip and I almost didn't go because, you know, I didn't have the passport and I just kept getting ticked off because like I had to get my passport. I had to do some money order things. So I was just like at 7-Eleven. It felt more crazy for me, but talking about it, it's not really that hard. But I was like at 7-Eleven. I didn't know what a money order
in the
was.
moment,
Like
in the moment, it seems like a lot more work.
Yeah, like I couldn't even understand the lady, and I called my mom, and I'm like, I can't do this thing. I'm sorry. Like I'm gonna just let Talon go. And my mom was like, you get in that car with Emily. And I just remember, just being like, oh man, I don't want to do it, but my mom helped me. And but anyway, how it relates to this, I just feel like when it comes to us being the relief, kind of Christ's relief for other people, I think sometimes the main thing is just to like show up, you know what I mean? But sometimes it's tough. Like sometimes there's opposition. Sometimes there's things in the way. But something that I learned from this is just the importance of just, you know, doing what I had to do. And then that prepared me to get in the car. And then we all had this beautiful experience, right?
And what I can't stop thinking about is that you two had absolutely no idea that I needed relief so bad. Like you had no idea that like my life fell apart. You didn't even know me at all. You didn't know anything about me. Like you had no idea that
Well,
I was like
we knew a little bit because your mom kind of exposed you left and right.
We got some tea.
typical of Emily. But like you didn't know. Like you know what I'm saying? Like when you signed up for a trip to Mexico, you didn't know that like my life had fallen apart like a month before that. Like you didn't know, like you had no idea that that happened. But like God did, you know? And I think that there's a lot of times in our lives, like you are walking down the school hallway or you are on the football field or you are like showing up to lacrosse practice or you are like in the school library studying for finals. And like you are looking around and like it's just another day. And you're like, oh yeah, like it's fine. Like I just showed up to the library or I just showed up at practice or oh yeah, I'm just in the hallways because this is what I do every single day. And it made like all I can think about all day is like, oh, like, what if instead of looking around and just being like, oh yeah, these are the people I'm surrounded by, you started thinking, oh, I bet every single person here needs relief. And maybe the person sitting next to you in the library just went through a breakup. Or maybe the kid walking down the school hallways actually hasn't gone to lunch with his friends ever because he doesn't have anyone to invite him to lunch. Or maybe the person on the football team is actually having really big struggles at home. And like all they are begging for and praying for is for someone to invite them to their house to like do something that night. And I think there's a lot of beauty in just showing up and saying, you know what, I'm not here just for like, this experience, but I'm actually here to bless. So like God, like open my eyes because I want to be on Jesus's team. Like I want to like walk arm in arm with him and be like, hey, who needs my help and how can I help them?
This part is like blowing my mind right now. What it says in the talk is our covenantal blessing is to partner with Jesus Christ in providing relief. And when you read that sentence, it should say like our covenantal responsibility is to do that. But I love how she words it. It's like, it is our blessing to partner with him because it's like the sweetest thing to like walk side by side with Jesus, doing what he would do, giving relief. And I've realized the more that I'm focused on that, I feel like there's so much like culture right now. Like you need to focus on you. Like the more you focus on you, the more your life is going to get better, the more you're going to figure out your problems. But Jesus is like, asked each of us, like, go out and comfort, go out and give relief, like, go out and lift. And I believe so deeply in my soul that the more we do that, the more we are healed, the more we grow, the more we become, the more we find joy, when that's not our focus, when we aren't our focus. But when our focus is others, he heals us in ways we could never heal ourselves.
So as Talon's saying this, I'm just thinking like you're one of the best people that's living this.
Yep.
Like you do this. Like you're always and then you roped Dre into it. And Dre was already doing that too. But I mean, you know, you and your wife Dre, you guys have like designated nights, right? And like designated time where you're just like, I'm gonna go visit like this widow. And you guys over here just balling out, just spiritually, just blessing lives. So but I have to ask you, because for so many of us, a lot of us want to get there, a lot of us want to turn outward, a lot of us want to show up to bless and show up to serve, but we kind of let, you know, different things get in the way, fears or insecurity, whatever. I got to ask you, like, what helps you do this so well?
The first thing that came to my mind was stop making excuses. And I heard, it was this guy who spoke in church one time. He's like, guys, God is faster than Satan. And I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? He's like, you're going to get all these thoughts to do good things first. But then Satan's going to come right after and be like, no, but you shouldn't because that'll look weird. Or no, you shouldn't because you have to worry about this. Or all these other reasons not to do it. All these excuses will come up right after. And after he said that, I'm like, it's actually the truest thing. Every single day, I will get these thoughts to do good, to reach out to someone, to comfort, to lift. And every single time, some excuse will follow it. Because Satan's slower, but he'll always show up. And so I've realized the more that I just like cut out the excuses. If I have a good thought, if I think of someone that needs love, like just do it. Don't make excuses, go.
There are so many people that need relief, that need Jesus, that need peace, that need some sort of blessing. What a thrill that we have the blessing of being the person that helps. I cannot think of like a better way to spend my life than like waking up every single morning and thinking like, okay, God, put me somewhere where I can help someone feel Jesus. Like I can be the means of like them finally getting relief.
I love that so much. And I just love from the talk, she shares the story, right, with the friends who take the dude who was all messed up. He had a
Palsy.
Yeah. Something like that. He was just jacked up, I remember, in the video.
I think it says that in the scriptures. He was jacked up, right? Yeah.
But I just, looking at that story, I think in high school, I was so obsessed with trying to be like popular, like trying to have so many friends. But I love thinking about this story and I love thinking about like real life. Like my most fulfilling times with friends is when I have like a couple friends who like really got my back, like hardcore, you know what I mean? And some of my favorite moments in life has been not when I was surrounded with a ton of people or not when I had a great, just a big, I don't know, when I felt popular or whatever, but it's when I had a few core friends and when I knew that I could rely on them to help bring me to Jesus or bring me relief when I'm down. And then flip side that they could rely on me, that I would show up and do my best. You know what I mean? So I think that's something really cool to strive for. Something I've seen in my life is just, you know, small circle, have each other's backs, you know? And it's like Jesus, right? With the disciples, had a small circle, same values, same goals, had each other's backs. Anyway.
And I can't help but think that like those 4 friends probably had just as a miraculous day as the boy who was healed.
Yeah, and like when you think about their history, they're not telling any other day. They're telling the day that wasn't dedicated to them at all. Like the day that they would tell their grandkids about was the day that they went all out for somebody else. And I'm like, dang, like that's how I want to spend my days, going all out for the people around me, because those are going to be the memorable days.
Be the 4.
Be the 4.
All right, TJ.
Nice. Okay. I'm gonna sing a song, if that's okay.
Get it.
Who am I to judge another when I walk imperfectly? In the quiet heart is hidden sorrow that the eye can see. Who am I to judge another, Lord? I would follow thee, Lord. I would follow thee.
Let's go.
See you next week.